Everything looks under control on the surface. But in this world, control is just another word for illusion. Because when trust breaks, even the strongest plans turn into traps. And this time, Kimmie and Horace are not building an empire. They are surviving inside one that is ready to collapse. After everything that happened before, nothing feels safe anymore. The world around Kimmie and Horace is quiet, but it is not peace. It is the kind of silence that comes right before a storm destroys everything. Kimmie has changed. She is not the same woman who once believed in loyalty without questions. Now she watches every face, every word, and every move. She has learned that kindness can be used as a weapon, and trust can be the first step toward betrayal. Horace, on the other hand, is standing at the top of a fragile empire. People see him as powerful, controlled, and untouchable. But inside, he knows the truth. His power is not as strong as it looks. Every decision he made in the past is now coming back to him like a shadow that refuses to disappear. He tries to stay calm, but there is pressure building around him from every direction. Friends are not fully friends anymore. Allies are not fully loyal anymore. Even silence feels suspicious. The distance between Kimmie and Horace has also changed. They are connected by situation, not by trust. There is something unsaid between them now. Every conversation feels careful, like both of them are walking on glass that can break at any second. Kimmie wants answers, but she knows asking too much can expose her own weaknesses. Horace wants control, but he also knows that controlling Kimmie is no longer possible the way it used to be. Outside their world, danger is growing. There are people watching them, waiting for the smallest mistake. Not everyone is visible. Some threats are hidden behind business deals, fake smiles, and old promises. The more Kimmie tries to understand the truth, the more she realizes that the truth is not one piece. It is broken into many parts, scattered across people who will never speak honestly. Horace senses it too. He feels like something is being planned against him, but he cannot tell who is behind it. Every step forward feels like it might be a setup. Every success feels like it has a hidden cost. Still, he cannot stop. Because stopping now would mean losing everything he has built. And in the middle of all this pressure, Kimmie and Horace find themselves pulled back together again. Not because they trust each other. Not because they want the same future, but because survival leaves them no other choice. The world is closing in. And whether they like it or not, they are now tied to the same dangerous path. But neither of them realizes the most important truth yet, that this path is not leading them to victory. It is leading them straight into a plan that will change everything they think they know. After everything that was left hanging before, the next phase of their story does not bring relief. Instead, it brings more pressure, more confusion, and more danger that slowly tightens around them like a trap that is already set. Kimmie and Horace are now living in the aftershock of choices they cannot undo. The past is no longer behind them. It is walking right beside them, shaping every move they make. Kimmie starts to see things differently now. People she once thought were harmless are no longer easy to read. Even a simple smile feels suspicious to her. She begins to notice how quickly trust can turn into control. In her mind, she replays old moments again and again, trying to understand where things first started to go wrong. But the more she thinks, the more she realizes that the problem was never just one person or one decision. It was the system around them, built on secrets and silence, where everyone is hiding something. Horace is also under pressure, but he hides it better. On the outside, he still looks calm and in control, like nothing can shake him. But behind that image, there is constant tension. He is being pulled in different directions. People expect him to lead, to decide, to fix problems that are getting worse every day. But what they do not see is that every solution he tries creates a new problem somewhere else. His power is not stable anymore. It is tested from all sides. The gap between Kimmie and Horace grows in a quiet way. It is not a loud separation. It is a slow change that happens through small moments. A pause before answering, a look that lasts too long, a question that is never fully answered. They both feel it, but neither one of them openly admits it, because admitting it would mean accepting that their connection is no longer simple. It is complicated by fear, by survival, and by things they are not ready to say out loud. At the same time, new information begins to surface, but it never comes clearly. It comes in pieces, from different people, in different ways, always incomplete. Kimmie tries to connect the dots, but every time she thinks she is close, something shifts again. It feels like someone is always one step ahead, controlling what they are allowed to know. This makes her more alert, more careful, and more distant from everyone around her. Horace notices that Kimmie is changing too. She is not as easy to read as before. She asks fewer questions, but her silence feels heavier. It is as if she is thinking more deeply than she speaks. This makes Horace uneasy, because he cannot tell if she is becoming stronger with him or preparing to stand against him. That uncertainty becomes its own kind of tension between them. Outside, forces continue to grow stronger in the background. Deals are shifting, loyalties are bending. Some people who once supported them are now quietly stepping back. Others are moving closer, but not for the right reasons. Everything feels like it is building towards something larger, something neither Kimmie nor Horace fully understands yet. And even though they are still working together on the surface, inside they are both starting to question the same thing in different ways. Whether their partnership is still a strength, or whether it has already become the beginning of their downfall. Kimmie and Horace now find themselves forced into a situation neither of them fully chose, but both of them cannot escape. The world around them has shifted so much that standing alone is no longer an option. But even standing together does not feel safe. Their so-called plan is not built on trust or unity. It is built on pressure, necessity, and the fear of what will happen if they fail to act first. They begin to move carefully, trying to rebuild control in a space that is already unstable. Every step they take is calculated, but even calculation feels uncertain now. Kimmie watches everything closely, not just the people around them, but Horace too. She is trying to understand his true intention. She cannot tell anymore if he is leading her towards safety or slowly guiding her into another trap. That thought stays in her mind, even when she tries to ignore it. Horace, on the other hand, is focused on the bigger picture. He believes power can still be regained if the right moves are made at the right time. But his definition of control is starting to change. It is no longer just about winning. It is about surviving what comes after the win. He knows there are forces working in silence, building pressure from behind the scenes, and he knows that if he does not act fast, he will lose everything he has built. Their plan begins to take shape, but it is not simple. It involves quiet moves, secret meetings, and information that cannot be shared with everyone. The more they step into it, the more isolated they become. Trust becomes limited to only what is absolutely necessary. Even then, hesitation never fully disappears. Kimmie starts to notice something important. Horace is not telling her everything. There are gaps in his words, moments where he stops just before saying too much. She does not confront him directly, but she stores every detail in her mind. At the same time, she begins forming her own layer inside the plan. Something she does not share with him, something that gives her control if things turn against her. Horace also senses that Kimmie is holding back. He does not know exactly what she is hiding, but he feels the shift in her energy. She is no longer just following, she is thinking ahead. This creates a silent tension between them. They are working together, but they are no longer fully aligned. As they push forward, their plan starts targeting a larger hidden structure that has been influencing events from behind the scenes. This structure is not easy to reach. It is protected by people, money, and long-standing connections. Every attempt to move against it brings resistance in ways they did not expect. Information disappears. People change their stories. Doors that seemed open suddenly close. This makes both Kimmie and Horace realize that they are not just planning against an enemy. They are planning against something that already knows they are coming. And that realization changes everything. It means their next move will not be secret for long. The closer they get to executing their plan, the more unstable their partnership becomes. Every decision now carries double meaning. Every agreement has an unspoken condition. They are no longer just trying to win against outsiders. They are also silently measuring each other, preparing for the moment when trust might no longer be enough to hold them together. And still they continue forward, because stopping now is not an option either of them is willing to accept. The situation around Kimmie and Horace begins to shift in a way that feels less like progress and more like pressure building from all directions at once. What once looked like a controlled plan now starts to break into unpredictable pieces. Every move they make seems to trigger a reaction they did not expect. It is as if someone, somewhere, is always watching and adjusting in real time. New forces start to rise quietly in the background. They are not always visible at first. Some appear through business connections, others through personal relationships that suddenly change tone. People who once stayed silent are now speaking at the wrong moments. And people who once spoke freely are now disappearing into silence. This imbalance creates confusion, making it harder for Kimmie and Horace to understand who is truly with them and who is working against them. Kimmie begins to feel this shift more personally. She notices how quickly situations change once she gets close to the truth. Conversations end too early. Opportunities vanish without explanation. Even small details feel like they are being redirected away from her. This makes her more cautious, but also more determined. Instead of stepping back, she starts pushing deeper, trying to find the source of the disruption. Horace is facing his own version of the same problem. The more authority he tries to use, the more resistance he meets. It is not open opposition. It is subtle. Delayed responses, broken promises, deals that do not close the way they should. It makes him realize that power is not just about control anymore, it is about influence, and his influence is starting to be tested from multiple hidden angles. As the conflict spreads, the people around them begin to change too. Loyalty becomes unstable. Some allies start to distance themselves without explanation. Others become overly eager, which creates suspicion instead of comfort. The circle around Kimmie and Horace is no longer solid. It is shifting, and every shift feels like it could hide a betrayal. Inside this growing instability, misunderstandings between Kimmie and Horace also increase. They are still connected by their plan, but their interpretations of the situation are no longer the same. Kimmie believes the danger is closer than it appears, and that speed is necessary before everything collapses. Horace believes caution is the only way forward, because one wrong move could expose them completely. This difference in thinking creates silent friction between them. Neither of them openly argues about it, but it shows in their actions. Decisions take longer. Communication becomes shorter. Each of them starts relying more on their own instincts rather than shared understanding. This creates a dangerous gap between them, one that neither fully acknowledges yet. At the same time, a stronger opposition begins to take shape. It is not a single enemy, but a network of people and systems working in coordination. They do not attack directly. Instead, they weaken connections, disrupt timing, and isolate key players. It is a strategy designed not to destroy immediately, but to slowly remove stability from every angle. Kimmie realizes that this is not random. The level of coordination suggests preparation. Someone has been building this structure for a long time, waiting for the right moment to activate it. And now that moment seems to be unfolding in real time. Horace also starts to understand that they are not just reacting to threats anymore. They are being guided into specific outcomes. Every setback feels intentional. Every delay feels placed. This realization creates urgency, but also fear, because it means they are already inside a game that is larger than they thought. As pressure increases, their surroundings begin to feel smaller. Options reduce. Time feels limited. Even safe spaces start to feel temporary. And in the middle of all this rising chaos, Kimmie and Horace are forced to keep moving forward, even as the foundation beneath them becomes less stable with every step.